Uh, Hello all, this is Joy Dash, the Head and Code of Grow90 community. So I'm back with this one more session on Python Flask server deployment. So in this tutorial, I'll be going through all those process and I'll go through the entire process of how to create your own backend server written in Flask. So Flask is a framework written in Python, a framework for Python, using which you can automatically create your own server in backend server and host your own, I mean, host your codes, HTML codes into that. So in this video, I'll go through a little bit of HTML, little bit of uh, CSS, and also I'll explain you how you can host it in Flask. So the benefit of using Flask is like it's written in Python, and also when you are doing machine learning, you are doing deep learning. So in that scenario, if you want to host your algorithms, or if you want to host your techniques and for the public use, then you can use Flask very easily. So it's very easy to use, and yeah. So when you create, when you create your code, if it's not accessible to the public use, or if you can't scale it, then there's no benefit of creating it. That's why you should know how to make your code public, or you should know how to scale it up for maximum number of people. So that's why the Flask comes into play. If you know Flask, the same way of coding, same way of architecture can be implemented in Node.js, also in other languages if required, even Java, Jux, RS. So the same architectures are used. So generally, till now we have been using we have been doing only code in Colab or something like that. So in today's session, I'll tell you how to create our own architecture, and and host your code in that. So today's session will be small, only 40 minutes, and I'll go through little bit of everything, like little bit of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Python too. So let's not waste the time and jump in coding. So first thing will be required is Python in our laptop. So for installing Python, it's easy. If you're using Linux and Ubuntu, or whatever it's, so Python is already there. And if you're using Windows, you can directly install Python from the, or you can use Conda or anything like that. I would rather suggest go. If you're using Windows, then you have to download it. Otherwise, it's okay. And Linux is already there. Mm, in a MacBook also, it's already installed, so you don't have to worry about installing it in MacBook. Just you need to download a big tool. So PyPy is a it's entire it's a platform where you can ideal yeah. So you mean yeah, Python ideally, it's a platform where you can write pseudo codes and test it out. It's like Google Colab itself. So it can be run in your it can be run locally in your laptop without having an external server. So that's what Python ideally for booting up. I mean, in Windows, if you go and search Python, ideally you will get it. For any other software, you can go to the terminal and type Python. It will also open up. So both way you can work. So right now we'll be using that thing also, and including that we'll be using pip installer. Pip is a library which is connected to a platform that is PyPy. So if you let me show you some screen. Start screen sharing. Okay. So it for PyPy is like uh, it's a like it's the place where you can get the most of the libraries for your projects. For example, today we will be using Flask. So if you type Flask, you'll get all those Flask, the library and everything in this one. You can click on this and you'll get a code through which you can install that Flask in your local computer. So it's very easy. I mean, if you are doing a big project, you should know what all libraries you are using, even though if you're installing in multiple environments. So that's why we had to use this. Pip maintains all those library handling and all those things for you. So for simple tasks, so today's task you'll be using some kind IDE, or we'll be using for I mean, we can use Sublime or some other things, but for better use, I'll be using Atom or WebStorm or PyCharm or something. PyCharm is free to use. There is a, you can go to IntelliJ. So there are many IDs online. For example, VS Code is there. Yeah, VS Code also works fine. Anything you can use. Uh, until and unless you know how to maintain the architecture of your code, it's fine if you use anything. So I generally prefer IntelliJ because their systems are really advanced and it's very easy to use. So I use IntelliJ's IDEs. So IntelliJ has its IDE known as PyCharm. So that's, it has a community also, PyCharm open community version. So I installed that. You can install that also if you want. So for professional developers, so you can full-fledged professional for free community. So you can install this, or else you can go with VS Code. So I install Python. I'll open it up. So Python is opening up. Yeah. So right now I'll be creating a project. I mean, I have to man the entire entire. I mean, yeah. So if you click on create project, it will ask you what type of project you want to create. But for me, I can select Django, Flask, anything, but that option won't be there in your ID. So I'll also not go with this option. So I'll directly create a simple project, name it as session 2. So you can create simple folder itself and open it with VS Code. So creating project, it creates a folder and it creates a requirement.txt file. So why is this requirement.txt file? I'll explain you in short time. So let it first create the project. So it automatically, when I clicked on create the project, automatically created this session folder. So inside session, you don't see anything because there isn't anything. It's only a folder. So first thing you have to do, you have to create a file name as requirement.txt files. So every language has its library management system. So in Python, we have to manage it. All the libraries should be written in requirement.txt such that if the environment changes or if the code needs to be run into something different server, it can be easily run without any hassle. So that's why we use requirement.txt file. So we have to create that file. Yeah. And similarly, if you see Node.js and if you see in for Java, we can use Maven and Gradle for library management. For Node.js, we can use multiple library management like npm and many other library management systems are there. And other languages too, there are many library management systems. So we can use anything. For Python, people generally use, Conda. They use pip and multiple others are there. So I use this pip in Conda environment or Docker. So it works fine for me. So I'll go how to use that. So first thing you have to do is install the pip installer. So for installing pip in the MacBook, you just have to do sudo uh, I mean sudo you install python pip. So in this way you can install in MacBook. My one is already installed, so I have not I shouldn't install right now. So in Linux and all, you can do sudo apt-get install. So in that way you can install this Python pip. Yeah. So after you install the Python pip, right now you can easily add library and delete library to your projects. So yeah, one message coming for in specifically. I have not used Windows, so I can't say, but it's very easy to install. You can go to Google and type how to install pip. You will get and small, kind of getting started and all. So you can go there and install the pip. It's very easy. Install those. So you can go to the Stack Overflow tutorial. It's written there. So by just something it's there. So you can go that and install pip. And yeah, once you install the pip, once you install the pip, you need to install this Flask library. So Flask library installation is very easy. You don't have to worry about that. You just have to enter in the terminal or whatever you say. If you have command prompt or anything similar to that, you just have to type pip install Flask. What this does, it installs the Flask in your system for the future use. So it already okay. So it's installed Flask in our system. What I can do now, I can uh, I can keep track of whatever library I have installed by entering it in the requirement.txt file. So just by writing the library name, I can keep track of the libraries I have used in this project. Yeah. So once you are done writing the name of that library in your requirement.txt, you can go and create your first Python file. So creating Python file is very easy. I mean, for me, it's right click, create new file. For you guys, you can click on right click and do new file. Or for in terminal, also you can create by touching uh, app.py. So what this does, it will create new file for you, app.py. Yeah. So this app.py file will be your main. Okay. And shit Flask, please go slow. Okay. So okay, fine, cool. I will wait till everyone is following up with me. So this tutorial will be very handy because whenever you make some algorithm in futures in Python, you can easily uh, show your code to others. So you can easily make your code public for others by creating your Flask and projects and deploying it into servers. So this thing it can be deployed easily in Heroku servers, or if you have AWS, if you have Google Cloud Server, it can be easily deployed and your code can easily be used by multiple of people. Even the Flask is used right now by big companies too for deploying their machine learning codes and all. So yeah, so it's very easy and handy to use also. Just a little bit of coding and you can deploy your codes. So yeah, so as I have done, first thing I have installed that. using pip install Flask. I have installed Flask. For Windows, there might be a little bit of issue. You just have to go to Google. Okay, so the thing is, the best. I mean, uh, before asking people about their doubts, the best thing a software engineer should do is like googling about their doubts in internet. So in internet, in Google, you will get 80% of your doubt clear. After that, you can reach out to your friends. But mostly I'll suggest if you have doubts, first thing, go to the Google and type your entire problem. And definitely for 80% of the time, you will be getting the solutions. So yeah, so in your case, if you are not able to install Flask, just pip install, search for installing Flask in Windows 10 or something. It will give you some small Stack Overflow article or something like that. So it can easily be installed. Seeing it's looking into that. So yeah, so after you install the Flask, you have to touch new file. I mean, create new file, app.py. So app.py will be your entry file, or whenever a user hits your website, or if it requests for your web page, it will first, I mean, uh, it will first come to the app.py and run that code. So first thing will be this, and then there will be multiple small packages you can create. For example, right now I'll create one more directory or folder named as templates. So yeah, so in templates you can create your HTML file, which can be rendered easily in your app.py. And yeah, so if I create one new file named index.html inside template file, you can render this HTML file using that app.py file. So yeah, so also for me, I have used Flask long before when I was doing my project on chatbot. So I was creating my small chatbot kind of thing. So in that project, I used Flask. The chatbot kind of, I mean, the chatbot was written independently from this project, and then it was imported into this. So yeah, I mean, yeah, in deep learning has many libraries through which you can write chatbot. In this scenario, there is one library for your use. You can use small uh, libraries. I mean, Chatterbot. So instead of writing your own deep learning code, I'll be showing you how to use Chatterbot and create your own chatbot very easily. It's like in second your chatbot is booted up. So yeah. So first thing you have to do, you have to create 747. So in today's tutorial, in 40 minutes, I'll show you how to create your own chatbot. So it's very easy. First thing you have to do, create templates. You have to create index.html inside templates, and then create app.py file, and then import Flask library. So mostly I also have lost my grasp on Flask thing. What I generally do. So for me, like keeping remembering for me or any other software development, remembering code is like very much a difficult task. So what we generally do, we write code and we host it in our GitHub. So whenever it's required, we can uh, easily just, I mean, use the previous written code, and I mean, it will be very much helpful for us also. So there is one more. Can't follow up quickly since I'm on Windows and VSC, so I'll follow up and see if I can. Yeah, that's completely fine, Vinayak. If you can't follow it up, just go through my video. And if you have doubt personally, you can text me. I will tell you how to install in Windows itself. It's very simple to install. Don't worry. You have to follow up. Just look what I'm doing. Later on, you can try. It's very easy. So yeah, I'll give you a GitHub link, and you can just go through the architect, what is the main files and everything. In the chat box, I'll be sharing a small GitHub link. So in this GitHub link, if you click, it will open up a repository which has been archived. Since I'm not developing anything on that, so I have archived that repository. Yeah, inside that you will see one app.py file will be there. I'll explain you, instead of writing the code, I'll explain you. This is a very simple, small file using which the main chatbot was booted up. So I'll explain this file is this repository instead of writing the entire code. And also it will be beneficial because you can directly see all those things easily. So first thing, we have to write a app.py file. I mean, yeah, it's app.py file. So app.py file it's a file where when you hit the server, first thing first, it will run in this this code itself. So if you can see, we imported flasks, we imported render library and request library. So if we copy this and paste it here in your code, you'll see it will import it. It will import flask, render, and request. So for rendering your template, or if you have an HTML file you want to show, you want to I mean, if you want, for example, if you have a template where you want to remove some of the keywords, for example, inside the template you have name, and that name should be dynamically changed depending upon the list you have got from the database. So in that scenario, you take a template and then render it using the data received from the database. So that scenario we use render template, and it's very easy to use rendered template. So yeah, second thing for you have yeah, this chatterbot and all, later on we'll import it. Right now we don't need it, so we'll import it later on when I'll explain how it works. Yeah, first thing is like you have to create the Flask. You have to create the Flask app. So this app is a, I mean, this Flask object. So okay, so yeah, so this app is a Flask object. When you have a Flask class, you just put the name of that, and this app is copied object of that class. Now on that app, you can put multiple routes using which people can uh, hit your app's website. So for example, if you see app.root, so if you app.root slash you can write any name in this, so home equal to index.html. So in template there is index.html. Yeah. So app.root, what it happens whenever you hit the home page or the slash, whenever you hit your www.grow90.consulting slash, it will run this function. So what you are defining is like whenever a user hits slash, it should run this function and returns back the rendered template of index.html. So that is what it does in this function. So as you know, render, okay, so the render function means whenever you have a template, you can put the data of your the data taken out from your database and render it in your template. For example, for your certificates there were 400. For example, you generated certificates to around 500 people. For 500 people writing, I mean, designing a single certificate for each of you, it would be difficult. So we created a template where we have given a specific keyword for the positions where we want to dynamically change. For certificate, there will be name, right? So name part, we have given it a keyword, and then I mean, why the certificate was given, for that specific name was given, variables. And for multiple people, we just rendered it. I mean, we took the data from the database and rendered it and given the so every certificate will have a unique ID. So I'll show you a small link of certificate. So guru90.consulting.students. I mean, yeah, the tech table is also using the same architecture you're using. We're supporting them actually. So whatever, so this is my certificate, right? So I have awarded myself a certificate just for test purpose. So for each of you guys, instead of making a new certificate, what to do, we take this single certificate and then render it using your data. So this is the unique ID which I have written there. So I take this unique ID, search in my database what is the name of that that should be written in certificate. I'll take out that data and then I render this certificate using that data. So in this way you can generate certificate for 400 of these people, and easily, if that is the meaning of render template. Yeah, so in this way you render index.html, and in later you have to do this thing. So this thing means, yeah, so what does this means is, if name equal to main, so whenever you run app.py, if the name of this thing is main, then app.run. So you can do this one also. You can remove this and do app.run. These things also works fine, but generally people use this because in this scenario, if you see, whenever you will call this file from external places, then it won't run this function. It will first check whether the functions, okay. So please zoom in on the code. Okay. I hope you guys can see it. If not, if it is not visible, I have shared the link. You can go to that in one of your laptop and you can check the code there itself. I'll explain you each things very properly and very slowly, that you get all this concept very easily. So I mean, yeah, so for what we can do, we can directly run app.run and remove this. In this scenario it works, but the problem is if we call this file from other places, or if we are importing, if for example you wrote this entire stack or entire code and you want to make it as a library, and people want to import it and use it, if they run this, then this code will also run, which is not preferable. So that's why we use name.naming. If this file is run directly, then app.run should run. So debug equal to false. I'll write it through. I mean, app. We create an object of Flask using app equal to Flask name. Then we added roots to it. Adding roots is very easy. It's you don't have to know what is going behind this. Just have to write app.root slash. So yeah. So slash, so return template, render template equal to index.html. Now if name equal to main, run this. What it does, this is 0.0.0. That means it's a local host. The entire code will be run in the local host, and there are multiple ports in your computer system. So whenever you write a code, if you want to host it, you have to host through a port. Initially people wouldn't host it through the port. They used to make it folder wise, and every folder used to be connected to 80. So there are multiple ports. There is, in internet, only two ports works: 443, which is the secured port, or 80, which means non-secure port. So if you type any site, for example, if you type google.com and slash 443, it will open google.com because 443 is a secure site. If you type 80, it won't open because it's not secure site. But if you remove, if they allow not secure, so then you can open Google. So two ports will be opened up for public use, 443 or 80. So in our case, we are running it in a local server, so we use 3000. So that means the app will be run in 3000. And when I run it, for running it is very simple. You can do python app.py, it will run. So it's very simple. And now you can click on that and you can see our index.html file is loaded. It won't be visible in this HTML because I have not added anything in the HTML. I'll add it up. I'll add up h1. So if I refresh, yeah, there is one person texting. So I zoomed in. You can check. The code is also shared in the link what I have already shared it. So what I did is I opened a folder. I created a folder templates. Inside that I have written index.html. So 404 is different. 404 is a code. It's not a port number. It's a code given for the, it's a standard code that is given if your page doesn't exist. So whenever you get a 404, yeah, it's an error code. So as Suryanshu Singh is saying, it's an error code. So yeah, so that's the meaning of this 404. 443 is different. It's a port ID. So there are multiple, I think 50,000 port IDs are there in a system or some entire system. You can use any one of them. It doesn't matter. So for public use, you have to use 443. That's, you should know, like, and then through 443, you can proxy pass to your different ports if you want. So if you run, see, if you can see that the code runs. Yeah, so 65K ports. Yeah, as Suryanshu is saying, there are 65,000 ports. Any one port you can run. For our case, we are running it in 3000. It's very easy. You can see it is run. Now, I know you guys know a little bit of HTML and CSS. If you don't know, there is a small, it's one day task. You can learn HTML and CSS. It's very easy and it's very interesting to learn. If you don't know, you can go to W3 schools or any other places and learn from there. After you learn, I'll tell you one thing, just copy this index.html file from the, I won't write the code because it will take time and I have a little bit less. So this is the code I have written initially for making my chatbot. So this is the code I have written. Just copy it and paste it in the index.html file. So once if you copy it, I'll tell, this is just an HTML file. I'll tell you later on what these functions and all that I'll tell you in different tutorial, but try for right now, you just have to copy it and run it. And if you run it, then you will see your, hi there. Okay. So one more thing you have to do, you have to add CSS and script files. For that, we use static folder. So there are two folders which will be mainly used. One is template folder, through which you can import a template and render it using your app.py code. Or one more will be the static folder. So static folder, it's the static file which won't change. For example, style.css, this won't change, or JavaScript files or images or something like that, this won't change. So what you do, you create a static folder and copy the style file or style CSS file and make a style.css. So and paste your file in there. Yeah, so this folder, two folders, templates folder and static folder. Template folders renders, you can create your index.html on that. That HTML file will be rendered using this app.py. And static folder, you can create all those static files, style files or JavaScript files, which will not be rendered, but it will be directly served. Images file or whatever you want, it can be directly served. Now, if you, that's, you can see that chat box is ready. Now you can add chatbot. The adding of chatbot, I will tell you, you can use Chatterbot library. So how to use Chatterbot library? It's a simple way. You can add, I have 3 minutes, so I'll go a little bit fast. You can later on rewind the video and check it out. So what you have to do, you have to add the library. For adding the library, you can do, you have to go to requirement.txt file of my code. I have already shared the code. You have to paste that. Yeah, requirement.py file of that and paste that. Now you have to do pip install. This is recursion. That means pip install does installing of libraries, and I will install it from the requirement files. I have already mentioned in the requirement.txt, so I'll install in the requirement files. What I am doing, I am recursing. So instead of installing only the Flask, will be recurringly installing all Chatterbot and SQL elements. So R tag means you have to recurringly install all those things. Just have to enter, and this pip will take care of your entire installations. So after, this will take quite a long time because you are installing Chatterbot. So Chatterbot is, it's written in using different libraries. It uses even deep learning libraries also. So it will take little bit of time. I have less than a minute. What I would suggest, I'll start a new meeting because soon it will be ending. The meeting will be ending. If you guys want to continue today, you can continue. Just text me in the WhatsApp, or else we will stop it here and continue tomorrow. And I'll tell you tomorrow how to boot up your own chatbot. And as you can see, the chatbot will be ready from tomorrow, and your chatbot will be pretty much smart. I guarantee you. So you can use this chatbot in WhatsApp also. I'm using it for our WhatsApp communication too. So yeah, so tomorrow, or yeah, if you want, now itself I can. Okay, so some of the people are saying me to continue. Yeah, so I'll continue. I'll share a one more time. I'll create the meeting and I'll share the link. And yeah, so see you in minutes. In 2 minutes, I'll be seeing you back. So let's go back. Stop share. I guess Google, less than a minute. I'll create one more meeting link and share it to you in a. There will be many issues you'll be facing while installing the library, but I would like you to solve the issues, because the main thing about software development is solving the bugs, because only 20% of your effort goes into creating the code. Rest 80% of your effort goes into removing the bugs. That is for sure. So you should learn how to remove your bugs. So I'll suggest you guys put your effort and remove your bug. So for me, I have my I'm in environment already. This analytical library is a library used for, I mean, kind of it's for kind of this users only, for deep learning and machine learning users. So there are multiple libraries which will be used when you do pip install, and it will take time, definitely. And once it is installed, the chatbot will be fully functional. So the next thing you can do. Okay, so it's taking time. Yeah, so once the Chatterbot is installed, the next thing you can do is uh, you need some reference or training data for your Chatterbot to get trained. So some Rohit Raj was requesting me to join, but he didn't join. I don't know why he can't join. So okay. Yeah, so for your chatbot, it's written in deep learning, so it needs to be trained. So for training, it needs some reference data. Currently, you can use your WhatsApp messages, or but I would not prefer using your WhatsApp messages. What once I did, I used my group messages, which came out to be bit. I mean, the chatbot started putting slang words in return, so before using WhatsApp messages, warning, because your group might not be that much uh, safe to use group messages. So yeah, there will be multiple messages online through which you can train your bot. So for training it, it's very simple. I have already attached little bit of data into this. If you go to the code I have shared, there will be data. Sorry, yeah, there will be sample. Inside the sample, there are already data attached. So there are multiple data attached. So I would suggest only, I mean, conversations.yml. So it's inside sample data English conversations. So there are multiple data. Also, if you want, you can check out other data. For example, untrain gali.txt. I don't know. This is some random slang words you can get from internet inside gali.txt. And you have English, Chinese, Hindi, all those data are there. But some of them are sample data. You can create own sample data for training. But for now, you can use my English, and inside English, you can go conversations.data. So copy that YML file. And create a new folder. Whatever folder you want to name it, you can name it. I'll write data folder, and inside it I'll create a new file, conversations.yml, and inside this, yeah. So also I'll explain you generally what happens. Every code you want to code, there will be so So whenever you want to code and there is a library you want to use it, so you should know how to use that library just by reading the documentation itself. So you should know the skills of going through the documentation. So I know how to use it, but I will still go through the documentation and tell you I'll give you a little bit idea how to use the documentation. So for my case, I'll be using Chatterbot. So I'll be directly going to Chatterbot documentation. So if you type Chatterbot, it will take to the Chatterbot documentation. And if you click the first link after the report, it will show you some documentation page. So whenever documentation is there, you will see one get started page. So you have to start by clicking on get started page. And there will be guide 2, which will explain you how to go through the. Now I want to know how to train it. So there will be a search bar. You can click on that, enter training, and search for that, and then copy the training example codes and then paste it. For my case, I'll click on training, and if you go through the reading, if you go through the all those, you will understand how this chatbot works. But for my case, I already used it. I won't go through entire these things. I'll be just for training purpose. I'll create one more file. No, let it be. I won't create any one more file. If you want to write the training part, you can write it here itself. Or if you want to create the training file, you can specifically create that file too. For now, I guess I will use the same f.py file. Or let me create the file. Yeah. So for this case, you can go to this app.py, the code I have shared app.py, and you can see I have imported the Chatterbot. So yeah, so you import the Chatterbot by entering this library, this code. For importing libraries, it's very simple. Use from Chatterbot or trainers, import Chatterbot your module, Chatterbot corpus module, and from Chatterbot import chatbot. So once you import the library, now you have to create a chatbot object from the class. So name your chatbot whatever you want, your own name or anything. For me, anything, and something you can put on something. So there will be filters, repetitive. This thing you might not require to know. If you want to know, you can go through the documentation. You can put filters in the sense your repetitive response should not be given to anyone. This is the filters meaning. There are multiple filters you can use. For right now, you don't have to know what is filters. You just create an object from chatbot class by calling this function, capital letter CHATBOT, enter the name and close the function using this. So your chatbot is ready. Now you have to train it. So for training, you create one more route and enter train and return string. Yeah. So before the roots or this function is returns training complete, it will train the entire code. So I have not entered the training code, and training code can be copied from the documentation itself, or you can read the documentation and copy it from there itself. So if you go there and there isn't, yeah, so you have to create a trainer object. It says you have to create a trainer object. For creating a trainer object, you have to pass the chatbot. So here's the chatbot, pass it to the trainer object, and then what you have to do, you have to train it. For training, it has a function inbuilt. You can use that function. You just have to use data because your YML function, YML file is inside this data folder. So dot means current directory. So your current directory is your session directory or the file where you are running this code. So that is your current directory. Slash data means you are telling it to import the files from data and then train the bot. So trainer.train, and your training process will start. For starting your training process, you have to you have to run the Python app.py. No module, not chatbot corpus. So what you have to do, one more module you have to install. I mean, you have to add it in the requirement.txt itself. So this was the issues I faced last time. This time I don't, yes, you will also be facing these issues. So let me see. As requirement YML, if you, but you have not YML which is incompatible. Okay, I have entered python.py. Yeah, so once this entire thing is installed, you have to run python.app.py, and if you go, you can type localhost 3000 and train. What it will do, it will start the training process. As you can see, your conversation.yml file, Okay, I'll explain the conversation.yml file too. What you can do, you can create some contextual questions or FAQ type of system where you can determine the questions and where you can determine the question and answer to. So once you do that, if you train that, it will understand. If you type similar questions, it will also answer similar answers. So that's what you can create this file. Conversation is the category. So you can create this file very easily. It's a format by giving a dash dash and dash. It's I mean, if you inside these conversations, the questions inside the nested answers will be one dash and one space, and you can write your answers. And once you create the file, you can train that file as I have shown you. Now, when you open up, once the training process is complete, you will see training complete. And if you open up and type hi, obviously it will take some time, but it is taking 404. Okay, so why it's not giving you a result of high? Because you have not created the API server. So what does this API server means? Right now you have this index.html file. What it does, whenever you type a hi, it will automatically hit your server and ask for the return of that server. But you don't have that API server. You have to create that API server. For creating that API server, you have to use this. One more root in the sense, one more slash, and you have to tell get /get. Inside that, you have to put user text, whatever text I'm writing there. So if you see the HTML file, this part might be confusing, but don't worry, I'll explain you later on how to use this XCS and all those things. Right now, this part is like I used view and all for rendering. I mean, for changing all those aspects. I mean, doing all those kind of changes in your browser itself. So I'm using Vue. You can use any other software, but for Vue, I'll keep a specific tutorial. But right now, you can directly copy that and paste it. And what it does, whenever you enter this message hi, what it does is requests goes to get, and it searches for the message. For example, once you are done, if I close that and I run again, and I do /get, that means I'm okay. Okay, what type of request it is? I have little bit idea of. I have long. Okay, so what the request I am doing, I'll get it from here itself. Params. I guess this is the request only what I'm doing. There is small issues. I don't know what the issue is coming. Let me see what is the issues. It shows 404 not found. Okay. I copied the similar code, but it didn't work. I'll copy it again and paste it down. And let me see it works now or not. We're starting with start. So automatically, whenever the files are changed, it automatically starts and So I'll refresh the code, and if I send hi, yeah, how are you doing? So as you can see, your chatbot is ready and up, and it's running. I don't, yeah, I don't know what was the issues back then there. You might check it out by while running the code. And this is the simple thing what I did here. Only I imported the chatbot library. I created the chatbot object out of the chatbot class by typing chatbot open bracket chatbot name and closing bracket, and then I opened at roots slash get, where inside that I have user text request dot args. Means whenever you do requests, so if you see request dot get, I'll do question marks. In Google also, if you see question mark query equal to something, so in my case message equal to hi. So what it does, it writes your hi into a query, I mean, as a arguments that will be passed. So in your get request, so if I enter this, how you are doing. So what it does, it takes this argument and and does a get request to my server. As I have already explained, what is the meaning of get request. So whenever you do request to a server, it does a get request. So when you pass an argument, how to get that argument is request dot args dot get. The key of your argument is message. So you will get that as a variable of user text. Now you can pass it inside your chatbot and get the response out of it and return it to your uh, return it to your code. So that's how it works. The front end part of it, where I have used Vue, I'll definitely keep one more tutorial on that, and I'll tell you how to do all those magically change all those things, and whenever you do some reaction with something. So without uh, so initially what people used to do, they used to use PHP. Using PHP, they used to change the dynamic aspect of your web pages, but right now they don't use much of their PHP because PHP does all the things in your server. So right these days, people prefer doing all those magic in your browser itself. So using this high, very performant libraries like React, Vue, or Angular. So React and Angular are very famous, supported by good companies like Google and Facebook. But we go with Vue because Vue is the most trending library, and in future people will be using that. It has a very less learning curve. I mean, very easily you can learn it, and but it's high performant and it's the best in the industry. With if you go and check their repository, it has the maximum number of stayed, in the sense whenever you search any library in GitHub, so it will have some staired. For example, if you search in it like TensorFlow, every open source library will be there in a GitHub. So if you go to the GitHub and if you search for the library, uh, it will show some kind of fork and star. So star means the number of people like the repository. For in this scenario, 143 people like the repository. So Vue has the maximum number of stars. That means maximum number of people are liking the library, and in the future, people will be using this. Just like Python, it's gonna be a very useful and handy library for front-end developers. So next tutorial, I'll be explaining you on how to use Vue and do all those kind of magic in the browser itself, and also explain you how I made this index.html file. If you want to know about little bit before itself, then you can directly go to W3 Skills and start learning there from there itself, and change little bit of this. I want to see how creative you are, and how much you can change these aspects, and what all file you can create and train this chatbot. Yeah, and how responsive your chatbot is, how good your chatbot. I will test it out, and how to push it to the server, I'll tell you in the next tutorial. Till then, yeah, till then, try it out. Let me see how much creative you are and how much how much changes you can do in my already given code, and read the documentation of Chatterbot, and definitely you will learn a little bit of Flask and how to use it, how to use PyPy library and everything. If you have issues, you can personally ping me, and I'll definitely explain you. Even if you are finding any issues in Windows, you can directly ping me. If it's unsolvable in Google itself, so first search the issues in Google. If you can't find a solution, you can definitely ping me, and I'll definitely tell you what will be the solution for that. Till then, see you in the next session, mostly tomorrow. I'll tell you view and front end. After that, after 4 such sessions, I'll be giving you the projects. I'll be assigning you the projects. The projects are mostly, some of them are from US clients, some of them are from startups and all. So the projects will be really very interesting, and there will be a lot of learning curve out of that. And yeah, you will be benefited a lot. Thanks for coming into this, joining these sessions, and see you in the next session. Bye. So if you have doubt, I will ask. If you have doubt, you can ask me right now. I'll see the chat box. Yeah, okay. So no one is asking any questions. If you don't have doubt, so I'm closing the session then. See you again. Try to run it and let me know if you're facing any issues. Yeah, if you complete the task. So I'll also explain how the entire process of pointing works. So there will be two major points. So grow 90 points and grow 90 points. So once you are into projects, you will be given grow 90 points for that. And if you're not into projects, then for this simple tutorials, you'll be given grow 90 points. So if you are into grow 90 points, if you're getting grow 90 points, that means you will be upgraded to our hierarchy. There are many more perks you will get if you're on top of the hierarchy, like recommendation, internships, opportunities, direct connection with companies. If you'll get paid projects, you'll get many other sessions and recommendations. Sorry, sessions and this such mentorship programs for free. So complete the trust. Whoever have completed it, I have added points in the table, and soon the table will be made public to you guys, and you'll see how much point you have earned. And depending upon the point, the project will be assigned, and your interests also. And yeah, and once you start getting the points, you can convert that points into. It's the coins is convertible to money itself. So you can use the coins for buying merchandise. You can get back your as a money itself. So whatever. So we expect that each one of you will complete. If you're into project, each one of you will complete 25 coins, and 24 coins equivalent to 250 rupees. So you'll get back your money. If you aren't able to complete it, so we are thinking for this pilot session, we will be refunding all of your money, even though if you have not completed your projects. So yeah, but if you complete more than that, if you are completing 45, so you will get 450 rupees. And if you are completing 100, so it increases. You can buy merchandise with that rupees, or you can get it refunded. There are multiple options. Manager or QMS manager will let you know about that. Complete the task and let me know personally. I'll be assigning you Grow 90 points, and soon you'll be assigned the projects, and the projects will be really interesting. Yeah. See you in next sessions. Bye.